Hey guys, my name's Ramon. I go by Everyday Ratney on Tumblr, and this is the education tag video that I'm making. First of all, props to Be the Change You Want for the idea. It's an amazing idea, and I was just watching a bunch of the videos before making my own, and you guys are inspiring, and it's really awesome. So yeah, let's get started. Um, I have to write down all my answers because I'm not as sharp uh, as I once was. Anyway, all right, 9 questions. Where did my username come from? My username, well, basically, Ratney is my nickname that was given to me by my sister when we were all little kids. So Ratney's that, and Everyday Ratney, that was a blog that I used to have back in 2008, 2007, 2008. That was a blogspot blog that I used to have. It was called Everyday Ratney, and when I switched over to Tumblr, the name just carried through. So Everyday Ratney is just what I think about every day. So that's Everyday Ratney. Where am I from? Yeah, good question. Um, Originally, I was born in the Philippines, and when I was 10 years old, I moved to Canada. So, I'm a Canadian, but I was born in the Philippines, but I work here in Thailand, in Bangkok. So, those are the three places that I'm from, that I tell people anyway. What grade do I teach, or what is my position? It's a summer break right now, so I'm not really teaching. I'm on vacation. And last year I taught 6th grade, and next year, this coming school year, I teach 5th grade. In Thailand, the school year starts in May and ends in February. So so in May I'll be starting off my career as a 5th grade teacher, which I've taught before, so it's not too bad. I teach at a private bilingual school here in Bangkok called the La School, and it's a school. Yeah, it's really weird because it's a Thai school with a British system with a Canadian curriculum. So that's where I come in. I'm a Canadian teacher, obviously. I went to school in Canada. So I moved to Thailand and I got this job, and I've been loving it ever since. And I've been here for 5 years. I've been teaching here for 5 years. I actually did my last student teaching practicum here in Thailand, and I just stayed in the same school. What made me join the Tumblr community? I joined Tumblr. Well, I essentially joined Tumblr because I was moving from the traditional blogging sense where you're typing and things like that to more photo-heavy posts. And I mean, it's a lot easier to post pictures on Tumblr than it is on Blogspot, I think. So I moved to Tumblr. And how did I get involved in the education community in Tumblr? Essentially, this was about a year and a half or so ago, over a year, maybe 2 years now. I was invited by Positively Persistent Teach to be an education editor. I think at the time I was blogging a lot more about being a science teacher. So I was invited. I was on board as science editor, but I've moved on from that position, and yeah. Let's see. What is one of my teaching secrets? Well, first of all, I think I teach English, I teach math, and I teach science. Those are the 3 core subjects that I teach. I don't teach social studies because that's a Thai subject. What am I teaching? one of my teaching secrets is teaching the intent of your lesson. So telling the kids, it says right here, telling the kids what you want them to learn and why you want them to learn it. And that's something that I've carried through since I was student teaching. I was taught that by my cooperating teacher back in Canada, to just tell the kids why they're learning what they're learning and why you want them to learn it, and that gives them a voice and they become active participants in the learning process in that way. And in that sense, if you go by that, you as a class can develop criteria together. So for example, if you have a lesson or a project or something like that, you guys can, as a class, develop the criteria for your success. What makes you successful, here are the criteria, or just criteria for the project, for example. And if you guys develop your own criteria, that leads to self-assessment, and kids love that stuff. Like, they like being part of creating the rules for their projects and things like that, and them being able to grade themselves or assess themselves on how successful they are in their projects. So teaching the intent, that's always been part of my philosophy in teaching, and yeah, thought I'd share that. What are three of my favorite things? Education related. One of my favorite things is project-based learning, where I teach a lot of the kids, they understand English, but they have a hard time with it. So project-based learning, or learning through the arts and things like that, is it's a good way for me to assess them, especially in things that are like higher in Bloom's taxonomy, like evaluation and creation and analyzation, things like that. With the language, I think they get bogged down with the language, that it's very hard for me to assess certain things. So if you take language out of the way and you just do project-based stuff where it's hands-on and it's tactile and all that stuff, you take a lot of the English writing and English speaking and all that stuff away, and yeah, you get kids who don't know how to speak English just bloom in creativity in that sense, and I love it. It's one of my favorite things. Number two, this was already mentioned by Be the Change You Want, is interactive billboards outside the classroom. Last year I did a unit on electricity for science, for example, and on my billboard outside I had laid out a light bulb with a battery, and I had them all connected with a wire, but the wires weren't touching. So the wires were out like this, and their goal was essentially to find an insulator or a conductor and take it and put it right in between where the wires meet. So they just laid it on top just like that, and it was really cool to see them just grab whatever it was in their pocket and putting it between the wires to see if the light bulb would go on, to see if it was a conductor or insulator. I thought that was a really cool thing, and the kids, they loved it, and they loved seeing the crowd that gathered around it and things like that. So interactive billboards, they're amazing. Kids love that stuff too. And last, the third favorite thing, education related, is eating lunch for the kids. I think if you spend a lot of time outside of the classroom, or if you spend a lot of time with your kids outside of the classroom, you get to know what they are like wholly, not just what they're like in the classroom with all the pressure to perform well and things like that. So I've gotten into the habit of eating lunch with my kids, and I don't think it impedes at all with the teacher-student relationship. I think it makes it a lot stronger, to be honest with you. Yeah, you just you just find out. You get to discover things that they like to do outside of class, and things that they're into, and what their hobbies are, and what they like to talk about outside classroom. And a lot of times I've used a lot of that stuff that I learned through those conversations, and I kind of apply it in the classroom, or I use it as a segue to my lesson, things like that. So that's another favorite thing that I like to do. Let's see, 3 non-education related things. Obviously, number 1 is photography. I take pictures every single day. I have another Tumblr blog called Ratney 365 that it's essentially a 1 photo a day project, and I've been doing that for 2 years, going to my 3rd, though I'm not sure if I'll do it next year. But anyway, I like to take pictures. Another thing I like to do, number 2, is I like art, just fine arts. I like doodling, I like sketching, and I like to do graphic design on the computer. Before I became an educator, I was actually a graphic designer for a company back in Canada, and I did a lot of graphic design work. So yeah, and art, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but lately I've been posting a lot of art stuff. So that's number 2. Number 3, I like the geeky stuff. I geek out over things like Star Wars and Firefly and the upcoming Avengers movie, or like The Matrix, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, internet memes, things like that. Those things are really interesting to me. I like learning about them. I like watching movies. I like reading, things like that. So those are 3 of my favorite things. Let's see. Have I ever had a moment of doubt in my occupation? Here in Thailand, not so much, because here in Thailand they hold teachers at a high regard that is kind of equal to cops, policemen, and doctors, and government officials and things like that. So teachers are really seen as high in society, and I've benefited from that. I mean, I just show my teacher tag in a lot of the tourist areas. If you show them your teacher tag here in Thailand, they'll give you a discount, and that's the cool thing about being here in Thailand. So any moments of doubt about my career here in Thailand, not so much, but in North America, yes, kind of. I think my biggest fear is that the longer I stay here in Thailand, the less equipped I am to be able to function in a North American classroom with its own sets of challenges. I think it's just being in North America and Thailand are 2 different things, and you learn a different skill set while here in Thailand, and there's a different type of skill set being in North America with its own sets of problems and things like that. So that's my doubt, actually, is just the longer I stay here, the less able I am to function in a North American class. So yeah. Number 8, what are my ideas on the education tag? I think I'm in a pretty specific niche in the education community in Tumblr, in that I teach outside of United States. I think a lot of the teachers in the education community are American, and I'd like to propose a new tag just to get all the voices of the overseas teachers and international teachers and teachers who teach outside of the country, teachers who teach in other parts of the world. It would be cool if they could also have their voices heard. So I don't know, maybe one proposing a new tag like overseas ed or international school ed or things like that, just to bring all those voices out would be really cool. So yeah, that would be my idea for the education communities, to be to expand outside of North America to sort of encompass the whole globe. And I know there's already a lot of really cool teachers out there that are that are outside of North America, but I'd like to see more. That's the thing. I'd like to see a lot more, and I'd like to see a lot more of their posts sort of highlighted in the education tag. So that's that. And lastly, goal for the remainder of the school year. It's not the school year right now, but my goal for next year is to essentially be happier and be a lot more laid back. And I don't know if you guys have followed sort of the narrative in my Tumblr blog in the past few months or the past year, but it hasn't been the best year for me, and just really stressful situations just happened last year, and I would like to start fresh and just kind of that, threw it off the shoulder. And like the Thai say, "Mai penai, it's Hakuna Matata, no worries, just go with the flow." So that's that, and that's my video. I hope this isn't too long. Hope to hear more from you guys, and good luck in your careers. Take care.